Someone left a comment like, yeah, but what if you don't have a team? And I was like, what? Don't mistake the fruits of success for the seeds, right? Yes, having a team is a fruit of success, but I didn't start off with a team, right? It's not the seed. No excuses, right? Let's just actually get it done. And if you're like, okay, but how do I get it done when my time is limited and I don't have a team? You're in luck, because that's what this podcast is all about. So let's get into it. Hey, it's your girl, Courtney Sanders. Welcome back to another episode of my podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about getting stuff done, but how to get things done even if you don't have a team. How to be successful when you're flying solo. And I got the idea to do this podcast episode because I released a YouTube video on, I want to say content creation, or kind of like my content creation hacks. And someone left a comment like, yeah, but what if you don't have a team? And I was like, what? The video wasn't even about how to create content if you have a team. It was literally like the content creation hacks that I have used since the very beginning, even when I didn't have a team. And so I've spoken about this on other podcast episodes as well as other YouTube videos, but one of the quote unquote curses of success, or achieving some level of success or achieving your goals, is that people start to look at you and they start to think like, oh, you're different, right? I even posted on Instagram once, I said, don't mistake the fruits of success for the seeds, right? Yes, having a team is a fruit of success, but I didn't start off with a team, right? It's not the seed that created, the fruit that you see before you. So the seed was something else. And that's what we are going to be talking about in this podcast. And not just from the standpoint of content creation, though everything I'm going to be sharing is certainly applicable to that, but just in general, the mindset that you need to have in order to get as much done as possible, because we're all busy people. We have family responsibilities and different things going on, and we're all trying to achieve our dreams. And I'm a big believer in having it all, but there's a certain strategic way that we have to go about it in order to make sure that we get the things that we want ultimately out of life. So no excuses, right? Let's just actually get it done. And if you're like, okay, but how do I get it done when my time is limited and I don't have a team? You're in luck, because that's what this podcast is all about. So let's get into it. All right, so the first thing that you need to really keep in mind, the mindset that you want to have, is a mindset ultimately of like efficiency and optimization. And I will admit, I do have an advantage here, not because I have a team, but because I am an ex-engineer. So many of you who know my story know that I originally went to school on a chemical engineering full ride scholarship, and I got thrust into coaching because I lost that full ride engineering scholarship chasing my initial dream of starting a hair care business. And it was through me losing my scholarship and almost, dropping out of school that I started blogging about personal development, teaching myself self-discipline, time management, and sharing all the things that I was learning. And those ended up becoming, courses and programs later down the road. I had people reach out to me like, hey, can you coach me? And that kind of put me into what we now know as life coaching, or helping people with their personal development. But at the time, I was just learning this stuff for myself and just blogging about it just to have some accountability. And so even though I didn't end up graduating in engineering, I actually graduated with a degree in marketing. And now your girl has her MBA as of this recording. I've actually had it for a while. I've had it since October of last year, but I finally got to walk a few months ago in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I feel like now I'm official. I got my little degree and walked across the stage and all of that. So yeah, I am doubly degreed in the area of business. But part of me, still has that engineering mindset, right? You could take the girl out of the engineering program, but you can't take the engineer out of the girl. So that is my advantage. It's not that I have a team. It's that my mind tends to naturally work in this very process-oriented, efficiency kind of way. I love breaking things down and turning everything into a system. But even if you're an artsy-fartsy person, you're more of a free spirit and you kind of like to do things, you can be free-spirited, but you want to create a system and an order and make sure that you are doing things very efficiently, because time is limited and this is how you get more done. So when I talk about efficiency, I essentially mean getting more bang for your buck, right? Or getting more juice out of the squeeze, or any time that you spend time on anything or any level of energy on something, you want to make sure that that investment of time and energy is doing minimum triple duty for you. That's kind of my standard. If I do something, I want it to do 3 other things for me. Sometimes 4 things, sometimes 5 things, but I would say a minimum of 3 things. So you want to ask yourself, how can you always be getting more, out of whatever it is that you're doing? I think part of the reason why we often struggle with getting things done, particularly women, because I know women can feel really burdened with family responsibilities and also pursuing their dreams and all these different things, is because we've been taught this very siloed model of doing things. And so I talk a lot around why I don't actually believe in balance per se. I believe in blending it all in. I actually shared that in kind of a crazy podcast episode where I talked about an experiment that I'm doing with getting up ultra early. I don't even want to tell you how early I've been getting up in this podcast because I don't want to scare you, but you can go check out the other podcast around the truth around balance and marriage and motherhood and making money and all of those things where, I share about that in detail. But I think part of the reason why it's so difficult for everybody, but especially for women, is because we think I do this and then I do this. And then I do this, and then I do this, not realizing that everything needs to be blended in. One example is I had a series of speaking engagements and then travel. And so I needed clothes and I needed outfits. And so I was well, I don't want to spend the money on, getting a stylist, because at the time where I was in my business, I wasn't at a place where it was really feasible for me to get a stylist, but I needed to quickly kind of get some outfits planned for, again, these speaking engagements and this travel and all these different things. And so I was it's going to take me so long to go through all these different websites and look at all these different clothes and try to put them together and make them all stylish, efficiency minded. What is the best way that I could do this? And then I realized that most of the websites that I was looking at, they all had what they called an editor's list, right? So a lot of the online boutiques that I was shopping at, they would find clothes that were the hot new clothes for the season or summer's, best style or whatever. And they were already putting together outfits out of the clothes that were already on the website. And they even had them on their own separate page. And so it was they had a resident, stylist or an in-house stylist who was curating all of these collections and looks from everything that they were selling for that season. And they had all these outfits. And I was well, you're already shopping on these websites. Why don't you just buy the outfits as the stylist that is the resident to that particular brand? Just buy the outfits as they are and kind of jazz them up with your own jewelry. But why go through the trouble of shopping at a gazillion different websites, trying to figure out, which clothes go with which? The work has already been done for you. And so I find that that's the case in a lot of things in life. Maybe you don't have a lot of speaking engagements, so you don't have to worry about clothes, but maybe meal planning is something that really, grinds your gears and gets on your nerves, I find when I go to the grocery store, oftentimes they already have, little pre-made meals set aside that you can just kind of heat up. You don't even have to do a lot of meal planning, but to do double duty, if you're doing your normal, let's say Netflix and chill in the evening, and maybe you want to make meals from scratch, why don't you do Netflix and chill on a cooking show? And then you just tell yourself, every meal that I see made on this show, I am going to create a 5-ingredient version of it at home for my family. And I'm going to do 5 ingredients. So, it's not super expensive and it doesn't take me a lot of time, and I'm just going to make it. So if I'm watching a cooking show during my Netflix and chill and they're making some crazy tacos or whatever, I'm just going to take the key ingredients from those tacos and boom, that's going to go on my list. And that's going to be something that I'm meal prepping this week. So this is what I'm saying. Make everything you do double duty for you. Now, when it comes to business and content, I am the queen of this. Every piece of content that I create does quadruple duty, right? It's, the original piece of content. I'm taking the transcript out and I'm turning them into emails, and then I'm taking clips out and I'm turning them into, Instagram reels or YouTube shorts. And then I'm pulling out quotes and I'm turning them into quotes that also go on social media. All my stuff gets chopped up and reused a gazillion different ways. But that's because, again, I do have that engineer's mindset in terms of creating systems. And I'm very, very much a stickler about everything I do needs to do double duty. So I don't care if it's the clothes you buy. I don't care if it's the food you buy. Any time that you are spending, even if it's just, decompression time where you're just, exhausted in the evening and you're just spending an hour to Netflix and chill, watch some Netflix shows that are going to help you with some project that you're working on. Maybe you watch like The Home Edit or Con Marie or something, and that's going to help you, with your project of like organizing or decorating the kids' rooms or whatever it is that you're doing. So essentially, you don't want to think about things in silos like, oh, I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this. Make everything work together. If you're cooking dinner, then be listening to an audiobook, and then that could be, your time of learning different marketing strategies for your business while you're actually cooking. So everything should be minimum double duty, but in my opinion, everything should definitely be triple duty and even quadruple duty for you if you want to get things done. And so along those lines, in terms of thinking about efficiency, also think about how you can systematize things. So think about how you can turn everything into a process or a routine. Even if you don't have a staff, in fact, if you don't have a staff or if you don't have a team, this is even more important for you. I find that a lot of people actually waste time because they're trying to figure out what they need to do next or when certain things should be done. You should have routines for all the important activities in your life and in your business. If you know that your family eats dinner every single day and whose family doesn't, then make sure that you're creating a system that works for you and works for your schedule, that's going to allow you to meal prep if that's something that you do ahead of time, so that is taken care of. And instead of cooking, the day of or, the hour before and trying to figure out where everything is, maybe you have a system that you order groceries on Sunday, and when they come on Sunday, that evening you prep and chop all the vegetables and all of that. And then maybe you organize everything that you've pre-chopped. You organize them in like little piles in your refrigerator where all the onions and stuff for the tacos goes over here, and all the chopped tomatoes and, eggplant, I don't know, for your pasta goes over here. Like, you always want to be thinking, how can I turn this into a system? How can I turn this into a little process or routine? And how can I do it in a way that is repeatable for me so that I'm not wasting time scrambling, trying to figure out where things are. So make sure that you are being efficient, getting double duty out of everything that you do, but make sure that you are also being very systems oriented. And also, this kind of leads me into the next thing that you want to do if you want to make sure that you are getting as much done as possible, even if you don't have a team, and that is batch creating everything. I get it. When I was single, like I could do things one at a time, but I got a whole husband, I got a whole 2 kids at home, like my time is gone, right? So it makes more sense for me to do things in batches, because it's often faster to do multiple things than it is to do one thing at a time. This podcast is a perfect example of this. So I don't record my podcast every single week. I publish them every single week, but I don't record my podcast every single week. I batch record my podcast 4 or 5 at a time, once a month, right? And I do that at a time when the camera is already set up, because I'm already recording and shooting YouTube videos, and I'm already hosting, my Nail Your Niche challenge, which you should totally sign up for if you haven't already, because I don't even know how long I'm going to be able to do it. But my Nail Your Niche challenge is a free 5-day challenge where I help you nail your niche in your business and discover what your niche should actually be. And that's something that I do live. I do it live on Zoom. I do it, for a full 5 days for an entire week. And I have my setup just like this. And so since I already have my camera set up and I'm, essentially doing it live via Zoom, but it's connected to my computer, I can use the time before and after the challenge to shoot YouTube videos and to shoot podcasts like this. That way, I'm not, spending a separate day driving to a podcast studio or spending a separate day recording all of my YouTube videos. Everything is done at the same time. So it's a mix of both that efficiency, getting 2 and 3 uses out of whatever it is that I'm doing, but then I'm also batching, because if it's done once, then I don't have to think about it until the next time I do it. So at a minimum, I'm usually batching things once a month, but depending on what it is, maybe you batch things, once a quarter. Even personal things like shopping, typically maybe it takes a lot of time for you to shop every single weekend. I mean, spring comes at the same time every year. Summer comes at the same time every year. Ditto for your kids. Me, I will batch buy clothes for my kids at the top of the season. And because I'm very focused on efficiency, I will order them from the same stores, and I will only order from stores that have curbside pickup, right? So like The Gap and Children's Place and Carter, all of those places, you can go online and you can find like a store in your city where you can just buy them online, right? So I'm ordering all the clothes. I know their sizes. I know they're going to need X amount of pants and shorts or whatever. Just ordering everything for the season. I'm even taking advantage of the little collections that the in-house stylist at the children's place or whatever has put together. I'm buying all that stuff online on my credit card and I'm selecting, curbside pickup, and then I'm driving to the nearest store and having them load that stuff in the trunk, and bada bing, bada boom, we're done, right? School shopping done for the entire quarter or into the next season. This is what I'm saying. So always be thinking about how you can do things in big batches, because it helps you save time, because it's a lot faster for you to, make 10 meals at once, or for me, shoot 20 YouTube videos at once, or, order 20 outfits for both of my kids, than to do each of those things sprinkled throughout the week or throughout the month. It's just not feasible. So batching is like such a lifesaver. So in addition to batching, one thing that I do is I also simplify. And I think simplifying is especially important if you don't have a team. I think as you get more support and people helping you, you can start to jazz things up, right? You could do more, whether it's with your content and business or whatever, the meals that you're cooking at home and all of that. But I know when I didn't have support, and I really only had consistent support, I'd say for like the last 18 months. I was starting to bring on support maybe 2 years ago, but I definitely didn't have support before then. So I remember during the pandemic, I was pregnant with my daughter. We were just starting to bring my nanny on and work with her part-time. We did not have a meal prep chef or anything. I was simplifying, right? We were cooking simple meals, or I was taking advantage of a lot of those like Home Chef, Blue Apron, whatever. Oftentimes things take us longer because we're trying to make them ultra fancy, and there's no need to make it fancy. If the focus is on, getting done whatever we need to get done, which whether it's getting dinner on the table or getting videos out in your business, simplify, right? You don't have to spend an extra hour figuring out how to make a super fancy intro to your YouTube video. Just shoot the video and do a quick, simple, clean edit and publish that thing and call it a day, right? The value is in getting the work done, not in getting it perfect or in getting it as fancy as you want it to be. And the crazy thing that people don't realize, and this is what I was talking about earlier, when I was like, people mistake the fruits of what you have as the seeds, and that's not the case. Part of how you get to the place where you can have all the fancy things, the bells and whistles, or having a team, is getting the work done consistently, right? So getting the work done consistently in your business is going to lead to brand growth, is going to lead to the sales that then will allow you to get the type of support that will allow you to make it fancy. But if you try to copy off of someone who has a team and you're trying to make it all ultra fancy, that's going to limit how much you're able to get done, because you're getting everything done yourself and you're going to get done less. And that is going to lead to, again, less brand growth and less sales. So you want to make sure that you are putting, the right things in the right place and focusing on the right priorities, which leads me to the next thing that you'll want to make sure that you are focusing on. If you want to get things done solo by yourself, make sure that you prioritize. In fact, there is a book that I recommend. It's called The One Thing. Who's the author? He's on the tip of my tongue. The One Thing. I'll link it in the show notes or in the description. Of course, it's probably gonna come to me later, so this is like making me very angry. But anyway, it's a book called The One Thing. It's written by the CEO of a big like real estate group, which is why I'm like, can't even believe that I'm blanking out on his name, but it's really good. And he talks about this concept of doing something that's like the top of the domino, right? Like doing whatever is going to have a domino effect in your life. So he calls it the focusing question, where he says you want to ask yourself, what is the one thing such that by doing it will make everything else either easier or unnecessary? And so oftentimes we are doing more than we have to because we are putting the cart before the horse, and we're not doing things in proper priority. And if you do things in proper priority, you might find that it eliminates a lot of tasks that you might have had downstream because you did first things first. For instance, I am currently working to overhaul my website. Obviously, I'm not overhauling my website. I hired a web designer. But I've been in business for a long time now, and my website is old. And so we have a lot of like crazy pages, right? We have like landing pages and different links and different things that we're not even using. And so I could have just said, all right, the focus is on recreating all the pages from our current website and creating them in our new website. But that wouldn't have been the best use of time. It wouldn't have been the most efficient use of time. Instead, we are doing the sitemap, right? We're putting first things first. We're doing the sitemap and then going through that sitemap and determining which of these pages we don't even use anymore, we haven't used in years, which of these products that we no longer sell or we want to stop selling or we need to upgrade or whatever. And once we eliminate things that are no longer necessary, then that's only so many pages that I need to have recreated on my website, versus if I would have done it the other way and just tried to recreate everything that I already have, we would have been recreating pages that didn't need to be recreated because I'm not even using them anymore in my business. So this is what I'm saying. Find the one thing that if you do it, maybe it makes something else completely unnecessary. Again, I love these videos. I love, doing my podcast because it's such a Swiss Army knife of content in the way that I can repurpose it. And so because I typically will focus on my YouTube videos and my podcast first when it comes to content creation, it often eliminates a lot of content that I need to create on Instagram because I can just pull it from the videos that I've already done or the podcast that I've already done, or even if it's like a text-based post or a caption or something, I can pull that content from something that I already said inside of a podcast or inside of a YouTube video. So prioritization is so important. And then also touching on prioritization, the last thing that is super important is elimination, right? Are you stressing yourself out saying, I can't get all these things done, when there's things to get done that you actually don't need to do? Again, ask yourself, is this something that is actually going to move me towards my goals? Or is this something that I am telling myself I need to do because I see other people doing it? You have to understand that you need to run your race, and only you personally know what you need in order to achieve the next level in your business and in your life. And while other things might work for other people and that might be really important to them, if you add that on your plate without thinking about how it actually leads you to your goals, you are going to be in trouble. In fact, I talk about this in my other podcast episode, which you should check out, which is all around how to create an instant breakthrough. And I touch on this concept of, focusing on the goals that are right in front of you and focusing on your most immediate goals. And so I find that most people don't even know what their immediate goals are. They know what their grand dreams are, what their big outcomes are that they want to achieve. I want to quit my job. I want to travel the world. I want to, save $100,000 and have an 800 credit score, and like all these like big lofty things that they want to accomplish, but they don't even know the like milestones that they need to be focused on right now in order to make that possible, right? If you want to travel the world, maybe your immediate goal is developing skills that will allow you to work from home and be mobile, whether you choose to do it in a corporate setting in a 9-to-5, or you choose to quit and start your own business. You need to ask yourself, what are the skills that I should, one, learn, and two, get really good at, so that when I get hired to do them, whether it's as an entrepreneur or a corporate employee, it's skills that I don't have to be at anybody's office to do. I can be remote, and that's going to allow me to travel the world, right? So that's what I'm saying. You have to get very micro and granular and ask yourself, what's the one thing that I really should be focused on? And then don't focus on anything else. Even if other people have other goals that are similar to yours, again, don't focus on what they're doing, focus on what you're doing, and look at everything that's on your plate that is stressing you out and ask yourself, what is it that I can eliminate? Because I bet you there's a lot of things that you're stressed out about right now that you don't actually need to do. I am always asking myself, what can I eliminate? What, is not necessary for me to do? Again, going back to that priority thing, what can I do that's going to make this unnecessary, or that I'm going to get so much ROI from it that I actually don't need to do anything else? What type of social media content can I create where I can get so much ROI that I don't need to run ads, or I don't need to create other things, right? What are some programs that I can create where I can, sell so much of it that I don't need to worry about one-on-one coaching or all these other things? So that's it in a business context. You can think about that in a personal context as well. But hopefully this is helpful, and you can stop leaving me comments about, well, what if I don't have a team? These are things you can do if you don't have a team, and these are things I did do when I didn't have a team. Again, don't mistake the fruit for the seeds, okay? So go ahead and put this into place. If you're going to put this into place, you can leave me a comment on my social media, whether it's Instagram or on the version of this podcast on YouTube, and leave a comment below and let me know that you're going to take action on it. And with that, I'll see you in the next podcast episode. Bye.